Hey everybody, welcome to the first of 10 videos that will comprise my top 100 games of all time. This was a stretch goal for my Kickstarter project last year, and now I'm finally getting them done. This will go up on a Tuesday, May 12th. Yes, May 12th. And the next one will be Thursday, then Tuesday, Thursday until I'm done. So I do have some analysis and stuff, but I'm going to leave that until the end of the very last video and then do some of that after I reveal my number one. But I will give you a couple of quick notes just to kind of keep in mind and sort of prepare yourself for how I'm going to do this and what something maybe you can expect. But I don't really want to go too heavy into analysis, so I'll shut up now and give you my three little points here. The main thing to stress is that I have multiple gaming environments that I play in. I've got your sort of prototypical, I guess, game night on a Thursday that I go to, and then I have a family game night on Fridays, and then I also do gaming at work for lunch. So we usually have 3 or 4 of us that play games at lunch just about every day. Sometimes, work is busy and we don't get a chance to do that, so there's that environment. And of course I play games at cons, and sometimes we'll have a Saturday game day. We'll play like a big game like Twilight Imperium or Dune or something. And so all kinds of different environments that I have to play games. So keep that in mind, especially you'll see some reasons why in this list today. And then the other thing is you're going to see some games that I have not reviewed, and mostly those are older games. And I thought about okay, I could kind of review these right before, but then when I give my final thoughts, it's going to be like, what do you think of this game? Well, it's number 26 or something on my top 100. So I will go back and review these to go into more detail on them after the top 100 list. And then the last thing is kind of how I put the list together sort of physically. And I did, I guess, the Tom Bassel approach because he has done the top 100 and several other folks in the Dice Tower has done it. And they basically take out note cards and write down all the games that they possibly think could feasibly end up on there. And then they shuffle them up and then sort of pair them off. And then eventually you end up, well, this is how I did it. I don't know exactly how they did it, but I ended up with like 10 piles of games. I had more than 100. It was like 100 not much more than 100. It was like 110 or something. And then I kind of, sifted around and separated them. And I kind of took a little sort of mental break from games, because there's some games that I haven't played in a while and they're older, and and I kind of thought, okay, if I had my druthers, which one would I play over the other, and that kind of thing. And so it was a little sort of a meditative process. But anyway, we'll go into the analytics of that in the last video. Let's just jump right into my number 100, and that is Merchants of Amsterdam. Now this is an older Reiner Knizia game. It's not one of his more well-known games, and it's sort of famous, or its gimmick is a Dutch auction. And it's a legitimate thing where they have this egg timer that runs, and then the first person to slap it will win whatever is being auctioned. Now above and beyond that, there is a cool kind of real estate action that is happening on the market for Amsterdam. Some of the places are sort of inherently worth more or less than the others, but you usually get some of them cheaper than you can get the more valuable places. So that adds a really cool, interesting thing. And there's some couple of tracks and things that have sort of abstracted shipping and all that kind of cool stuff. But sort of the combination of the real estate market and sort of figuring out where you're going to try to make claims and sort of build little routes and stuff, combined with the cool Dutch auction mechanism, really kind of sets this one apart for me. And this has been a big hit sort of at the game night for the last several years. So number 100 is Merchants of Amsterdam. Now number 99 is Stone Age. And for the longest time, this was kind of my go-to gateway game, you might say. It's very easy to pick up and teach. It's a worker placement game, and if you haven't heard of it, you put out a bunch of cavemen and cavewomen, and you send them to different things to get different resources. So you get wood and gold, and you send them to make babies, and you send them to get food. And it's sort of kind of a push your luck thing. You're like, how many people do I send to go and gather whatever I'm trying to get? And that's the number of dice I'm going to roll. So that's a really cool, very simple mechanism that I really enjoyed. And also you're going to collect different cards for bonuses and huts and things to get points. So there's a very cool sort of drastic difference between scoring points and during the game, and also points at the end of the game with collecting different sets of cards. The gorgeous game, very easy to teach. Like I said, I have tried the expansion, and it's just kind of okay for me. I haven't picked it up myself, but some other folks have it, and we've tried it a couple of times, and it's okay. I don't really feel the need to add it because it kind of adds it adds some cool stuff, but like it doesn't just do it enough for me to want to always include it, and it's not good enough that I want to add that more complexity to it. So anyway, so some people might really enjoy the expansion, but I just kind of lukewarm on it. So anyway, so that's my number 99, a Stone Age. Now, number 98 is a jump in complexity. This is Vinos, and this, I believe, is the first design for Vital Lacerda, and it's set in the Portuguese wine industry, and it has just an insane board that it's just almost gaudy and ugly, and to a certain extent, but once you get into the game, you can see a lot of the function and the information of like what you should be doing in the game really comes out of the board. And somehow the theme really rises out of this game, and that's really kind of the kicker for me with this one, is the intricacies and the details in the mechanics in the game is what's giving me the theme. And I love, 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 love games that do that. And this one is a big brain burner. It's very crunchy. So if you're into heavy Euros at all, you really should give this a shot. But then at the same time, it really like elicits theme, and you've got weather, and you've got these different experts that you're trying to either utilize or sort of not really bribe, but kind of convince with whatever types of wines that you're making, and various different types of wines. It gets really into that. You've got this whole wine fair aspect and everything. So fantastic game, just super, super crunchy. And this is definitely one that gets played with the gamer group above all of our groups. But a lot of folks are really big fans of it in that group as well. And now number 97 is Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small. And this is one that I have not done a review for. But All Creatures Big and Small, when I first played it, I also played Le Havre Inland Port. It was kind of like a companion game, if you will, smaller versions of Uwe Rosenberg's bigger games. And I actually liked Le Havre Inland Port if I was just comparing the base games over All Creatures Big and Small. But once I added the first expansion and then definitely the second expansion of buildings to All Creatures, that just like kicked Le Havre Inland Port out of the door. And this is a fantastic two-player worker placement game. It always is going to take you about a half an hour, and it's not like vastly strategic, but it's got some cool stuff, and you can be really kind of mean with it, stealing, you know, piles of sheep or whatever. As the resources build up, you're going to collect them, and then the different buildings that you can get in the game, you're going to set a certain amount of those out and then be able to kind of, you know, build those during the game. So each game is going to have a different kind of set of buildings, and then that's really going to change up the game and change with little kind of combos and strategies that you can do. And just, you know, for like a two-player little, you know, pack your punch type of game, this is just awesome. So that's number 97, Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small. And number 96 is Lost Legacy. And so this is designed by Seiji Kanai, who also designed Love Letter. But this one gets vastly much more play than Love Letter, specifically in my lunch group at work, but also in the other groups as well. The cool thing about Lost Legacy, and I've only got 2 of the sets, because you can actually take and sort of combine and mix different sets of cards. So I hope to get the other 2. But the cool thing about it is you can change up the metagame and change up the deduction. So the thing with Love Letter is there's a certain level of deduction, and you kind of read the other players as like, okay, well, he did the Baron this time, or, you know, he's kind of acting like he had the Princess. He's sort of being similar than what he did last time. But with Lost Legacy, you still have that kind of stuff, but you can kind of change up the deck and then sit with that and then kind of study everybody within sort of a given sort of meta space. And then after you're done playing that a few times, then you can change it up. And so we played this like so much at work, and we would play it, and then one day we would say, okay, let's set up the deck, and then we'll say it, and we'll play it, and then, you know, okay, you won today. And then the next day we'd come back and like say, let's pull the 8s out and throw the other 8s in, and then pull the 1 out and swap those, and, you know, and then it would just completely change the game. I mean, way more than we expected. So definitely I would take a look at Lost Legacy, and I'm really hoping to get the other 2 when they come out. I'm not sure if they're out yet, actually. So that was number 96, Lost Legacy. And number 95 is a very, very new game, Spectre Ops. And I've really been looking for, almost without even knowing it, a replacement for Scotland Yard. And to me, this is, I think, is the best of that sort of hidden movement, you know, one versus many style of game. Now, Scotland Yard, I played it a lot when I was a kid, and also probably about 10 years ago, give or take. Again, we kind of brought it out. We're like, this is really good. I can't believe how good this game still is. The interesting thing about Scotland Yard is it doesn't really matter how many players you play it with. So if I'm Mr. X and everybody else is the Scotland Yard folks trying to track me down, if it's just one other player, he should control all of the detectives. Or if there's 4 other players, they should all just control one, of course. Now with Spectre Ops, it's going to change up based on the player count. So with 5 players, you've got a traitor. 4 players, you get some more hit points, and the way you put out the objectives is a little bit different. And the other cool thing is all the different special abilities, and all the different equipment. And so all those kind of interactions are going to change up the gameplay quite a bit. And it doesn't lose any of its simplicity and straightforwardness that something like I Expect Fury of Dracula, which I haven't played, does. And then Letters from Whitechapel just like layer upon layer of like obfuscation of the same game, which I can't stand. But I would definitely recommend Spectre Ops. This is fantastic game. Love playing it. It does take a little bit of time, but that's what you kind of expect of this game, because you're really studying, where people might have moved and what special abilities they might have used. And it makes the hairs on my arms stand up when I'm playing the agent who's trying to escape the hunters. So definitely recommend that one. Number 94 is Madeira, which is similar in vein to Vinos. It's originally published by the same company, What's Your Game? And this is a big, heavy, crunchy Euro, but again, the theme really comes out of those mechanisms. So it's your typical like trading in the Mediterranean theme, but it has this really cool dice choosing mechanic that's just awesome. And it makes some decisions very, very difficult. And it's almost like a push your luck kind of thing, because as you sort of use spaces along with the other players, almost in a sense of like cooperating, you can kind of leave them to hang them out to dry, to sort of, get on like a negative influence, like it's like bandits or negative point kind of thing happening. Or you can you coexist with them and say, okay, cool, you're going there, well, I'll go here too. And then it'll make it that much easier when we go to the phase of we're going to resolve all like the corruption and stuff. And it's just got some cool little intricate things you can do with how resources come out and how you can send your ships back and forth, and the different victory point goals and the bonus goals and all that kind of cool stuff. And so again, lots of interlocking mechanisms again, but really gets into the theme of, different guilds and, different sort of specialities that you can do as a merchant and all that kind of cool stuff. And the game is gorgeous. It just looks awesome on the table. And again, all of the functionality and everything is really represented well on the board itself. So that is number 94, Madeira. Number 93 is Forbidden Island, and this is designed by Matt Leacock, of course, who did Pandemic and Forbidden Desert and all that stuff. Forbidden Island has a little bit of a soft spot in my heart because my son and I played it a ton, and my gamer groups played it, we played it at work, and just played the heck out of the thing. The game itself it's so simple and basic. I think maybe it gets overlooked a little bit. I don't know. I don't think so. I think a lot of people that play it really, really like it. But I keep coming back to it. It hasn't left the collection. On the off chance that I'm bored, I can set it up. I can print out one of the new maps, that's in the German edition. I've got this little sheet where you can set up like a skull face and all kinds of different stuff like that, and just kind of play through it. And it's just a nice, interesting little puzzle. It's a nice little solitaire game. And like I said, my son and I used to get into it, as a family, we'd play together and things. And it just has this nice tension that builds up, because as the island starts to disappear and you're trying to grab that last treasure, and there's only 2 tiles left, and we're trying to get on the helicopter and fly away with all the treasure. It evokes like so much excitement, just from this very simple game, a nice little small package. It's just a fantastic game. This is one of those games I would say like every gamer or whoever should have this in their collection just to break out, because it's such a simple game to teach and play, but it's just awesome. It's fun. That's the main thing, is it's super fun. So number 92 is Paperback. And this is a game that I've played mostly with my wife as a 2-player game. And basically what it is Scrabble / Dominion, or Scrabble the deck builder. Fantastic 2-player game, plays fun with more players as well. And frankly, I think this is a better game than Scrabble, which I've also played a lot with my wife, is Scrabble. And I don't know what it is. There's just a lot more interesting decisions in this game, instead of like just, proximity to the triple word bonus, and that kind of stuff with Scrabble. this is cool because you're trying to buy these different letters and think sort of, you know, about how the letters are going to score you different points, but it's all got these different special abilities on the letters, so you're kind of keeping that in mind as well. And you've got this whole thing of like rushing to score the points or trying to build up to score those, you know, big whammer, you know, words and everything like that. So very, very fun game. I think it goes in and out of print runs, so at the time of this video, it might be hard to find. But this is another one I'd really recommend it because, you know, lots of people out there played Scrabble to know words with friends and all that stuff on the phone. And this is just a completely different kind of twist on it, and really enjoyed this one quite a bit. And I think this one is probably my wife's second favorite game. So I get a lot of play of this one compared to, well, her favorite game is up on the list. So anyway, that's number 92 paperback. Number 91 is New Amsterdam. And this is the version from White Goblin Games that you can see here. I believe it was also brought over by Pandasaurus Games. So if you are looking for it in the United States, at least, it'll be under Pandasaurus. And the thing that I enjoy about this game is I love a good auction game, and where the auction is either a nice pure auction game or kind of makes sense within the gameplay, or it's just very interesting. And this has a cool, interesting auction. Now, I'll talk more about the auction in a second, but the other thing I talk about is similar to Vinos and Madeira, the board itself also elicits a lot of theme. Okay, so you'll naturally see through the course of the gameplay the theme arise. You're going to build up the town. The Native Americans that you're dealing with are actually going to be driven off of their land, which is awful, but also makes it interesting and difficult to trade with them, which is pretty cool in terms of the game. And so you've got that whole aspect. So you can see the evolution of this place in time as you know, the city of New Amsterdam sort of develops, and then, you know, the trading kind of becomes less and less and more difficult as you're pushing the Native Americans off. And also, you know, you've got some of the different boat mechanisms that are going to work differently. Now, the cool thing about the auction is everything has a certain amount of worth to it. And so when you bid on the actions that you're going to do for your round, you're actually bidding with everything that you have, not just the money. And so how much a thing is worth to a player, if you're bidding with like some corn or whatever that you're bidding with, then that may be worth something to you because you're going to use it to trade or to spend in a different way. But, you know, maybe not worth as much to somebody else, and they've got like an excess of corn or something. So the intrinsic value of what the thing is worth is really going to be driven by the players, and each game is going to be very different. And so I really like that in a game where, you know, like, I don't know, ore always sells for $5. Well, okay, fine. But it would be cool if like the value of ore fluctuated. So I like when a game has that, where the economy is all kind of player driven, and this kind of borders on that kind of thing. So that's the two things I really like. I really like the auction, and I really like the interesting sort of theme of it, and, you know, how the kind of the evolution, and you can see the game actually evolve, you know, physically on the board. It's not like just, oh, okay, I moved some pieces around and then I don't really have anything visually to show for it at the end of the day. This definitely has that. So that's my number 91 is New Amsterdam, and that is number 91 through 100. And so hopefully on Thursday you will turn in to watch number 81 through 90. So there we go. Thanks.